Hello and welcome to Reasons Are Debatable, where we look at one topic from many angles and offer bad advice that you didn't know you needed. My name is Matt.
And I am Neil. Hi, Matt.
What's good, Neil?
How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Hanging in there. You doing
Good.
okay?
I am doing great. Just, socially distancing from everything.
Yeah. I was going to say, before we get into that, I wanted to remind people that if they cannot get enough of us, there are other ways they can listen to us. One is on your other show, Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks, that you do with your wife. That's weekly.
Mm-hmm.
You can go check that out, darkangelsandprettyfreaks.com. Also, sometimes we do guest spots. You were on History of Bad Ideas a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a little impromptu, so it wasn't planned, but it was fun. Yeah.
Yep, and I just did an episode with Chris from Our Liner Notes, which is a music conversational podcast, and we got together.
That's the one you guys sing everything, right? Like you can't talk, you have to sing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything is sing-songy.
Uh-huh.
Now we covered you two from front to back and included also.
And side to side?
Also, yes. Also, Kristen, his wife, joined us, so it was the three-way. Yeah.
Oh.
And so it was so long.
Yeah.
That it had to be broken into three parts. So part one is out now. The next two parts will come out over the next week and change.
I like it.
So go check that out. You can find them on Twitter at O-Liner Notes, or you can go look them up on any podcast catcher, Our Liner Notes.
Mm-hmm.
In our debut episode of this podcast, this fine podcast, we talked about COVID-19, or was it COVID-7, or was it COVID-8? Which version are we on now?
Now we're like on 226. It's like podcast episodes.
Right, exactly. But back on that episode, we talked about how it was affecting us and the world around us. Remember those days back when the virus was affecting us?
Back when it was just novel?
Yeah, exactly. Now it's not. What's the opposite of novel?
Now, yes. Well, I was gonna go with now it's Cliff Notes.
There you go. Nice. So you wanted to check in on how we're doing with our social distancing.
Yeah, I was curious to know how you're taking it. If you're like, this is my overview. We'll touch on a lot of this.
It's not going well, Neil.
Okay, very good. It's not good, Neil. Like, do you get mad when other people aren't social distancing? Like, if you're at a store, do you get like social distance rage? Do you wait for other people to finish and then people cut in front of you because they don't realize you're waiting? We're going to get into everything. Mm-hmm. So let me start by asking you this.
Yes.
Overall, what do you think of social distancing? Do you think it's a good idea, or should we just bear arms, wrap ourselves in the American flag, and say, not in my state, not in my town?
Liberate California.
Liberate till you retaliate.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I am very much in favor of social distancing. I believe I was talking to you about this at one point, but I was talking to somebody else as well the other day about the whole point somebody's making about, we'll know we did a good job if people think we overdid it.
Right.
So because we're at this point now where people are going, the numbers were way off. It was all blown out of proportion. We didn't need to do this. And it's like, no, well, so nobody knows for sure
right
how bad it would be. But if the measures that we have been taking, which remarkably a lot of people have been adhering to, which I'm really encouraged by that.
Sure.
And especially in the early days, it seemed like everybody was pretty much on board. Most people anyway.
Right.
And so that has obviously helped stem the tide to a degree. It's still not great.
Yes.
But it's helped. And so I'm real hesitant about getting back to normal, not because I don't want to, but because I'm afraid of what's going to happen next. But I was going to kind of talk about that later. But yeah, that's my biggest fear is what's going to happen later.
Well, I wanted to touch on that too, because I think that you may have some anxieties about re-entering a normal civilized world, and now coming in contact with the others, as you like to call them. And I would imagine...
We call the others, we call them. That's what we call them.
Knowing you as I do, that there's probably a little hesitation and anxiety around all that.
Well, so the anxiety now is still mostly around just having to do the normal stuff as much as you can. There's no, I mean, everybody says normal's not going to be normal anymore, whatever, but there will be a new normal. Mm-hmm. But as far as like just, I was trying to adhere to, Dr. Birx and Fauci saying like, just don't go to the store. Like at this point, just don't go to the store.
Right.
And I tried that for about a week and I was like, well, we're out of shit.
Yeah,
we
I gotta
get
go.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I've struggled with the whole delivery thing. It's been, I've just heard stories of it being real hit and miss. And so I've braved the stores, but every trip is an anxiety fest because you're just worried about, anybody coming near you. And I have to dress up. I look like I'm about to rob a stagecoach because I've got like a, like a handkerchief that I use with the little, ties around the ears. And so that's what I've been using because I don't have a proper mask of any sort.
Right.
So I look ridiculous. Although you realize everybody else is wearing them, so you shouldn't feel so bad about that. But anytime anybody comes near me in the store, some people kind of don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And that bothers me. What about you?
So here's the thing. Annalise and I have been going to the store every week, once a week since this happened.
Target.
Now we realize not Target as often as we'd like.
The grocery store next door.
Grocery store, yeah. Usually just for like fresh veggies and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
that's the big one. You can't keep that stuff. You got to go get it unless you grow it, I guess.
Right. So although now we should have thought of this sooner or at least adhered to it. But we were going together, which adds another person to the grocery store that doesn't need to be there and more danger and all of that. But, Annalise has been pretty much working from home and stuck at home since March 16th. So it's the one time a week she can kind of get out, and she could totally go to the grocery store by herself, but she wants to go hang out with me because I'm still away working. So, but this week we realize that's the last we're going to do of that. One of us will be the solo shopper from now on. We go at a time too where there's hardly anybody in the grocery store. They haven't started only 5 people in until 5 people come out or anything like that.
Because you go so early?
Yeah. And there is not a lot of cases, fortunately, in Napa anyway yet. So that kind of helps ease some of that anxiety. But it's really weird because everybody looks so fragile and so quiet. Like nobody says hi.
Yeah, it's very solemn.
Nobody. I work really hard at always doing like the 6 feet to the point where if there's like more than 2 people in an aisle, which is odd because there isn't that many people in the store. I would say when we go shopping, the grocery store, well, you've been there. The grocery store is not huge, but a decent size. There's maybe 12 people, 15 people. Plus the checkers and stuff.
Right, which is pretty light.
Yeah, very light.
Do you find that when you go early in the morning, though, it's all the people stocking shelves? That's what I found. When I've gone real early, there's so many people working because they're trying to restock shelves that you get a lot of interaction that way.
Well, our Rayleigh's supermarket, the one we go to, and our Target is bringing in an overnight crew to do that now.
Oh, that's nice.
So they're big time disinfecting at night, so there's less people and less things taking up space.
Yep.
But it's just so weird to like not just everyone's kind of like head down, and I'm thinking like, I get it, but we can still wave and like, hey, I mean, we're still the same people that were here last week and 2 months ago.
Yeah, you do a lot of that hesitation where it's like, no, you go. I mean, I think people are pretty cognizant of that. I certainly don't go down aisles if there's somebody on them unless I'm just going partway down, grabbing something and bucking out. Do they do the one-way thing?
No.
Oh, they're doing that at my store.
So you can only go one way down an aisle?
You're supposed to.
And you can't pass? No passing?
You have to use your blinker.
Yeah.
No, people don't adhere to that completely, but they do have the sign.
Now, is your store really busy often?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm in the middle of a suburb, and so there's a lot of people, and so it's hard to find a time to go when it's not too bad. So it's you either go right when they open at 7 a.m. or you go. I usually go later, like at 9, because they close at 10.
Okay.
Kind of, because then it's usually pretty a little bit quieter then.
Yeah.
Do you wear the masks?
Yeah. Well, we have neck gaiters, so those are okay.
Gotcha.
The one let me start that again. The most interesting thing I've seen, which I thought was funny, was a guy was wearing kind of like a whole ski cap thing that covers your nose and your mouth and your head.
Yeah.
And so he's walking around wearing that. He walks up to somebody working in the grocery store, maybe 3 feet away, pulls down his face mask part and starts to ask them a question.
Why would you
And
do
I'm like,
that?
why even wear the mask?
Yeah.
Why even do it? And
I thought you were going to say that he pulled out a gun to try to stick up the place, and they didn't take him seriously.
More
like, what are you
toilet
talking
paper.
About? What are you talking about? You're wearing a ski mask for the virus, not because you're trying to rob me.
But it was, I was like, oh my God. But no, I adhere to it. We do our aisles in our grocery store are wide, so people will cross each other, but they won't stop. They'll just kind of, you're still about 4 feet apart anyway.
Right.
But no, everyone's been pretty cool, but you can see people that just want no part of it. and are just totally frustrated. And you can see that they don't want to adhere, but since everybody else is, it's almost like they have the attitude of like, I don't fucking care. I'm going to go do whatever I want. And then they get in there and they go, oh, I'm the only one who's going to be an asshole, so I guess I'm not going to do it. But they're going to like huff and puff and, oh, I got to stand back here. Oh, how do they know this is 6 feet? And I'm like, probably measured it. I'm
Just
thinking.
don't.
I don't know.
Just don't. Just fucking follow the rules. It's not that big of an inconvenience. It's mostly, like I said, for me, it's just I feel anxious going out there and being around it. I am kind of the designated store goer.
Right.
So I, not only for our household, but also for my dad.
Oh, yeah.
You should see the specificity of his lists are so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Because he'll be like, I mean, it's a random smattering of stuff, but then he'll be like, 3 small bananas, 2 more green than the other one. Hey, guy, I'm trying to kind of get in and out pretty quick, so I don't think I'm going to have time to touch all the different banana bunches and get the one that's just going to be right for you. Yeah, he asks questions like that. It's fucking hysterical.
Yeah, I've been shopping for my parents too, and so they have most of the food. So it's just like these odd things. Like my mom's like, "I need a case of Pellegrino and grated cheese." I'm like, "Oh, okay, fair enough. I'll see what I can do."
Yeah, it's the other thing that's been getting at me mostly, I guess, is the tedium of the post shop wipe down.
Right.
I don't know if you do that, but I kind of have like almost like it's just an area in my garage where I unload everything and then I just wipe everything down and then take it in. It's just like, God damn, it takes so fucking long because you're doing bigger shops because you're going less.
Right.
So the post game just takes so damn long.
Oh yeah, and then there's the do I get undressed now? The funny thing is like getting back into the car. You're like, so okay, hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Before you get in the car, but then you're in the car and you're like, well, my clothes have been in the store and now they're in the car.
Right.
So now I have to wipe down the whole car. Yeah. I
try to just forget the clothes. The only thing I do with the clothes is like you said, if I do a few shops, like I went this weekend, I went to Costco and then I had to pop into a Walmart really, really fast. And then I went somewhere else. And then I went home and immediately took everything off and threw it in the washing machine. Right. But I don't always necessarily do that. But you're right. Like you go to get, the other thing I struggle with is like the gloves. I just stopped wearing gloves. I'm like, fuck it. Because.
Well, a lot of the doctors were saying that wasn't doing much anyway to shop with gloves on.
Yeah. I'd heard reports you didn't need to do that. I'll tell you one thing that makes gloves really difficult is trying to get those plastic bags open. If you got to put some produce in a plastic bag, it's nearly impossible.
So every time we go, we buy lettuce, and usually the lettuce is wet. So I will touch the lettuce to open the bag because we're going to wash the lettuce anyway.
Yeah,
so
right.
I told Annalise, I said she couldn't open the bag, so I showed her the trick, and she's like, that's awesome. So we're in the store yesterday, and she doesn't touch the lettuce that we put in our cart. She touches one of the lettuce on the rack to wet her hands. So I'm like, we're buying that one too now. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I wasn't even thinking. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I do that thing where I'll touch, well, for instance, like avocados.
Yep.
You got to squeeze them a little bit.
Yeah.
So what the hell am I, what am I supposed to do? So
Annalise,
like you just have to guess really well.
We buy them all the time. And Annalise, every time now, she's like, I'm touching avocados. I'm like, okay, go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, I know. It's weird.
What do you think it is with conservative white people that always want everybody else to follow the rules and the laws when they're put in place for others, but now that they're saying you should stay at home, it seems to be mostly conservative white people that are freaking out and wanting to stage protests. Like I didn't see the protest when like people were getting locked in cages, or I didn't see the protest for like Black Lives Matter when people's rights were getting infringed upon there. But now it's all of a sudden my right, my this.
Well, yeah, because it's personal. The other stuff they don't feel like that affects them. And so I'm just going to go ahead and speak for millions or whatever, thousands
of people. That's why I'm asking you, conservative white guy. Come on.
Come on. I'm not conservative. And so I think it's just a matter of, at first people were kind of going along with it, and people just got real cooped up and cabin fever and pissed off quickly. Because it feels like it's been a really long time. It actually hasn't been that long.
No.
But I think people just feel really restricted, and they don't want people, holding it back. And of course, there's the whole added issue with, how it's affecting the economy and people getting mad about that.
That's
valid. But
Yeah. For sure.
It's
For
valid to be
sure.
angry about that, you know.
Yeah.
But there's, I don't know. For me, I'm just more of a let's bite the bullet and do whatever we got to do to try to prevent this from turning into something larger and more awful. So when I see those people getting so upset about it, it's like I get your frustration. We're all frustrated, but don't gather 2,500 people in front of a state capitol, and then you know what I mean during during pandemic
blocking ambulances. Yeah.
It's just not smart.
I understand. Obviously, a lot of people are out of work, don't have money, and are in pain. And some of the people live in communities where maybe this hasn't affected it too much, and they're probably like, just let us go work. That's all we want to do. We want to go work. I know some of it is we can hang out wherever we want, but I know a lot of it is, come on, let us out there and let us work.
Right.
Which I totally understand, but it's just interesting to me that overall the attitude of some of these people is just insane to me.
Well, yeah, I think
so. It's like the NIMBY thing, right?
NIMBY?
Not
not my backyard.
Yeah.
Yes, it's that. But like I was going to say is you and I are, to this point, knock on wood, lucky enough that we are still working. So
absolutely. Yeah. It's the hypocrisy that's getting me, because if these people were to also stand up for others people's rights when the government was infringing on their freedoms, then I'd be like, yeah, I get it. But this whole thing, it's driving me crazy. And I'm not saying I think protesting is fine and should be encouraged and done with respect.
Like I said, I get the frustration. It's hard. You feel like you want to do something, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like I just feel like we're kind of fucked. Every time I talk about it, I'm just like, well, we're kind of fucked because we have inadequate testing, we have no retrovirals, and we have no vaccine anywhere in the near future. So until some of those things are sorted, it's really hard. I mean, like a lot of people have said, if you get testing to be more prevalent, you could start to peel back on some of these restrictions because you could check. Still, you're exposing people.
Sure.
And the other thing people talk about, of course, too, is the whole herd immunity thing. But it's like, but we don't even know if you're immune if you get it.
Right.
You could get it twice. We have no idea. Nothing has been proven there. So until we know that theory is out the window. So I don't know. I trust me. I get it, because I'll tell you right now, the social distancing aspect has affected me big time with the distance learning.
Oh, yeah.
It's because here in general,
hold on. Before we go on, let me ask you this real quick.
Yes, sure. Go
Are
ahead,
you trying to make fun of my wife with a teepee behind you on a bed?
Excuse me. Oh, you can see that.
Yeah. I was looking at it and I'm like, is that like a really huge diffuser? I'm like, what is it? And then I'm like, oh, I see what it is. Little Indians.
I have a doll. I have an Annalise doll.
1, little 2, little 3, little Indians.
That was they did a Native American project last year in school. Or actually, it was this year in school. It seems like last year now.
Was it in school or did you have to do that at home?
No, we did it at home.
Distance learning.
No, it was during the school year when they were actually still in school. But yes, we made it here and turned it in. Yes, it's part of it.
You think there'll be school next year?
I don't know, man. Like, I was talking to my dad from 15 feet away last night as I dropped his groceries off. As I dropped off his 3 small bananas, 2 of them greener than the other. And I was like, I don't know what they're going to do. Because, we talk about sports too in a minute. But it's like, so much of it is, how do you go back? Because the fall and the winter, that shit's going to come back even harder. And so I don't understand how you can even, I don't know what they're going to do. Because do they try it and then revert? That's 2
to 3% of the kids, and like some people are saying, hey, that's all right.
Well,
sounds appetizing.
Who is it? Gupta, I think it was.
Yeah.
He clarified. He said for him. Yeah. You saw that? Where he said, he said it was a 2 to 3% difference.
Right. But it was taken out of context.
Yeah, but still, it was
kind of fun.
Not a great comment.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard with those things.
It's been a hard week for celebrity doctors. Let's just say that.
It has been not good.
Unless you count all their appearances. They're getting a lot of appearances, but
they're nervous because they're not making as much money anymore either.
Right. So, I have a palatial estate. So basically all 4 of us essentially have our own wing. We really don't even see
Who's staying in the your in-law unit out back? The 3-bedroom, 2-bath, the small one.
So that's the older son.
Okay.
We just split us all up. It makes it a lot easier. The only time we really come together is a common room for my lady friend and I to lay together. But that's about it.
Now, did you allow the help to go home, or did you say you're quarantining with us?
They're on furlough. I said, hey, you're hired back as soon as I can afford
paid
you.
or unpaid furlough?
I don't want to get into that.
Okay.
My lawyers advised me. No, but it's like of course we're going to get on each other's nerves a little bit and stuff like that. But the big driver of the frustration is the home learning. My older son kind of gets it and has been doing better with it. My younger son is not. He's been really struggling to stay on it, and we constantly have to keep bugging him about it. And it's hard because you're doing everything from home. There's no teacher there to guide you. You're not in a school classroom environment. Mm-hmm. So it's a weird setup. I think it's just as hard as people have had trouble working from home, adults, let alone a child who's like, okay, you want me to go into Google Classroom, which I've used a bit at school, but not a ton or whatever, and try to actually do my full day of learning this way, especially because they're both dual language. So they're trying to do Spanish as well. It's quite a challenge. And so it's created a lot of angst among us, and it's made it a little tense at times at the homestead.
I would imagine. Now, do you buy into the claim that the coronavirus was started by teachers' unions because they wanted more money and they finally wanted to show parents how difficult it is and that they deserve to be paid more?
That totally makes sense.
Right?
That seems like something they would do, especially because they want to basically essentially work their way out of having a job in general.
Right. Well, it's kind of like that scene in Fight Club. I'm pretty sure I could do this job from home. Just send me the check there.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I think because teachers are having a tough time with it too, getting used to trying to facilitate all that. I mean, it's
how do they stay sober long enough to teach all day in front of a computer? Are they wearing pants? I want to know these things.
Well, the pants are optional.
I'm not wearing pants right now.
Every video I've seen of a teacher, it's waist up. So, for all we know. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, they have to get used to teaching that way. And as much as they know it's more on the parents now, but just trying to even corral and, inspire kids to learn and to be engaged remotely is even probably harder.
I would think so. I don't envy parents ever. And I even now have more empathy and sympathy for what parents are trying to go through, because a lot of parents, not a lot, well, yeah, I guess a lot, fortunately are able to work from home that normally don't. I mean, you kind of have your setup, but we're
real lucky.
This is an all new thing of now a parent is trying to figure out how they should be working from home while trying to get frickin' Tweedledum and Tweedledummer to do their schoolwork. And they can't stop working every 20 minutes to go check up on, the Wonder Twins.
Oh, but we do. And I don't appreciate you referring to my children that way, but...
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I meant all children, not just yours. All of them. If you have two.
Yeah, because I'm used to working from home by myself.
Right.
Yes, my kids come home mid-afternoon or whatever, and so I deal with them in the afternoon and stuff. But for the most part, in the morning and the early afternoon, it's just me. And that damn dog. He and I got it down to a science. When it's just the two of us, he just chills, doesn't bug me. Occasionally he's like, dude, I got to take a leak. Sorry, man. I'm like, no problem, man. Let's go take a leak.
Yeah.
But when other people are home, he's like, I can bug these people. They're not dicks like dad is. So
yeah,
you get that going. But the other thing I think people are getting crazy about too is they close all the parks. Everyone wants to go outside and walk. The weather's getting nicer. So now it's just loads of people on the sidewalks or on the very
middle of the
trails
street.
You could walk. Yeah, it's really, it's made it difficult. My dad, who's trying to walk every day, for his own health, and obviously he's 80 years old, so he's certainly in a higher risk category, 2 years removed from bypass. It makes him real anxious because he's out there trying to walk and there's all these people. And he's like,
what about getting him a
6
treadmill?
feet, schmicks feet, he's like, fucking 6 feet ain't enough.
Yeah.
I think he needs to get outside. He needs fresh air.
Oh, for sure. But I just mean because you get outside, get 15 minutes of fresh air, but still walk for a good, put him on there for a good 4 or 5 hours.
He's been able to make it work, and so I think he's fine. But yeah, right.
I love that. He's fine. You know what? When we start talking about buying him shit, no, he's gonna be okay.
I'm gonna get him a hamster wheel, and he can generate some energy while he's out there. But no, it's just a new challenge. It's one of those things too, where a friend of mine is constantly like, hey, it's gonna be 72 on Wednesday. You want to golf? And I'm like, yeah, but should we be doing that? I don't know.
Oh, your golf courses are still open?
They're still open.
Oh,
so they have specific rules where it's you can pay in advance. If you get most courses don't have carts. If they do, it's one to a cart.
Right.
Most of them are walking. They have specific rules about like only one group on each hole. So like you got to really wait until the other person's cleared off. And
One group on each hole. That's a good.
On each hole. 4 guys to a hole.
Yeah.
But it's they're trying to make it so that it's doable. Because I mean, you figure that you are out there in nature, out in the middle of nowhere. It's just like parking and going to the tee box.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't even go to the fucking driving range and warm up or anything. I just go to the tee box and go and play. But I've just been real hesitant. I was kind of wait until we get into May to see how things are then. And my buddy's just like, okay.
It's like, whatever, man.
He's playing, but I'm not. So yeah, it's been kind of weird. The other thing that's been I think a positive, and I think we talked about this in our first episode, was just the whole like virtual hangout thing that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've had poker night. I had poker night tomorrow with some friends of mine in Seattle that I never see. It's nothing we would have done before. They would actually get together in person. I've had, gotten together and had like double dates, had fucking trivia night, had, all these different things. And it's interesting that it's kind of forcing us in weird ways to come together where we weren't before, because we just felt like we didn't have time. And now we're like, well, we're all cooped up, so let's do that. It's also making me drink more, which I guess they say is actually not good for you because of the immune system, but that's
right. I think a lot of people are on the drinking more tip for some reason. And baking and eating more bread is what a lot of people are doing. We have not bought into that yet.
Because you guys don't do carbs. Because you're
insane. We've been doing a few more lately, kind of to help the local restaurants, because we will order and go pick up.
I was going to ask you if you're going to do that, because we get pizza like once a week or so, and we get sometimes a couple other things, but for the most part that's about all we do. But we're trying to support some local businesses by giving them some dough. But even then, you go pick up. Do you have it delivered or do you go pick it up?
We had it delivered because we were also trying to help the people doing like DoorDash and Uber Eats and all that. But I that's kind of makes me feel a little sketchy, because unless the food is sealed, I'm like, I don't know, what's going on here. So now I pick up.
Yeah.
Or no, there's one pizza place will deliver because they do seal the boxes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because some places do curbside where you just pull up and they come out and give it to you.
Right.
But with the place I go, I typically go inside. There's nobody in there. So it's just me walking in. I grab a thing and leave. Yeah,
that's how it is at the Indian restaurant we go to. It's like just walk in, grab it, and go.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. I am one of those people who I don't think gets as quickly frustrated and run down by some of the monotony of this setup. I guess I just have a little more patience for it. But I could see, like I said, I can just see how it's just driving other people insane, and they're just fucking losing their minds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very fortunate. It doesn't drive me crazy because I'm still working my regular shift and leaving the house. So for me, it's still somewhat the same. I do agree with you that all that video, like getting together and hanging out, is fucking annoying. It's like I get to enjoy this time away from people, and now you want me to sit in front of a computer and talk to you some more?
It's actually not what I said.
Oh, I thought that's where you were going with that. No,
I said that it was a good thing. Oh. And if nothing else, it's got us podcasting, more regularly. So there was a fringe benefit.
French benefit. I like those French benefits.
Yeah, Belgian benefit, something.
No, it is. You are right, and we haven't done a bunch of the group thing. However, we are playing Animal Crossing with other people, so that's something.
There you go. You got more time to do that.
Yeah, I think we're having a happy hour with my sister and my parents this Thursday.
Yeah, and it's fun. I think it's most beneficial when you can do it not too many people. Because then it's just like a shitty conference call where, did you, you go, there's a lot of that stuff. So I think if you can limit it to about 6 tops, that's best.
I do think this is going to be part of our lives for a while, though, even as things open up.
Yeah. No, and I think you're going to have a lot of people who are hesitant to jump back into the mix and get back to the normalcy of, pre-virus days. Yeah. Which is good. I mean, I don't
think I'll be that quick to jump back into the mix.
Well, I think, you've heard a lot of things like Fauci said, we'll never shake hands again, and things like that are interesting, like customary things.
We're just going to start space docking with our Johnsons.
We could do that, and that's actually a really great idea.
Mm-hmm. Tip to tip. You just have to flop them until they finally smack each other, and then you're like, okay.
And eventually, it's cold, man. This is going to be hard. We're going to get too close.
Just lay on me. Just lay on me so we can go have a beer.
Maybe we can bagpipe. Is that what it's called? What was that?
Which one's bagpiping?
Wasn't that the one you were telling me about? Where you put your dick in between their armpit and they move up and down? What was that one?
Yeah.
Is that bagpiping?
Yeah, I think that's the bagpiping
Something
one.
Like that.
Yeah.
Oh man. By the way, I'll also say, have you seen what other countries are doing? Because we talked about Italy a while back.
Sweden.
And we talked about we talked about Italy specifically because all those mayors were out like fucking berating people. Remember that?
Yes.
And they were like just humiliating people on the street and screaming at them to get the fucking doors. So the latest one that I saw was the mayor of Messina in Sicily, my homeland. And he's using a drone with speakers to yell at people.
That's awesome.
So there's this video which I'll send to you, and it's these guys walking on a trail, and you get the drone's perspective, and the drone zooms in on him and goes, "Where the fuck are you going? Go home!" Obviously in Italian. And these guys are running scared, like they're scared shitless, running away from this drone. Like,
that would be freaky.
This? Totally,
that
you're
would
walking
be
down.
freaky.
I mean, they're literally like it looks like they're in like a country road in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden this drone goes zzz, and it starts yelling at them. So fucking funny. And then in Indonesia, I saw this story where the police were working with a local group in Java, on the island of Java, to send people out dressed like ghosts to scare the shit out of them.
That's awesome.
So I'll send you that too. There's a video of these dudes just like hanging out on a street corner, and all of a sudden these people who are dressed in like these white get-ups with black shit all over their face, this guy just literally like hops right in front of them. They just lose their mind and just peel out.
That's hilarious.
I just love these methods.
Yeah, no, it's good. Well, I mean, it's people like you said. Well, if you do too much, and this all seems like a giant waste of time, then we did it right.
Exactly. And if you don't do enough, then you fucked it up because you didn't do enough, and now too many people died. So there's no way to win in that scenario at all.
No.
There's no right zone where you're like, well, we mostly prepared for it, and we didn't lose that many people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you like, let's say you open up and send everybody to work, and then there is a huge, massive spike and tons of death, and then we have to close down again.
That's the problem.
And then everyone's going, well, last time we did it for 2 months, and it wasn't nearly enough.
Right.
Now you're screwed.
Well, so that's what's going to happen. You're going to have people who are even more resistant to going back into their homes. And then you're going to have, government agencies and everybody saying, well, shit, we might need to be cooped up way longer.
Right.
And so that's so much of it, of course, like I said, depends on treatments and testing and obviously the end result being the vaccine. But we're so far away from that vaccine, unfortunately, that, we could be doing several rounds of this bullshit.
Right.
So that makes me nervous. And I mean, when it comes to the sports, like they had that plan for baseballs, like we're going to just have all the whole season done in Phoenix. That's not going to work, man. I don't know if you saw that SI article on it where they were talking about just how careful they'd have to be.
The logistics.
And all the people that would have to be in quarantine for 2 weeks to make sure they're good. All the testing that would have to go ongoing, how they wouldn't be able to like be around their families.
Yeah.
Because they could infect other people. I mean, it is a nightmare. And I understand there's so much money at stake here, but my God, man, I don't think that's worth it.
No,
and it's baseball. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, right. I think there are a few sports that it can work for. Tennis. Tennis
is a little different only because you're both handling them balls. I guess you could always swap out the ball.
Yeah. But if all the players have been tested and are good, I mean, because in baseball you'd also be handling the balls too.
True.
The probably motorsports. I think motorsports can go back if they change, how they do pit stops and this and that and all of that fun stuff.
Will Kyle be able to come back?
Kyle?
What was his name? Who's the dude who just...
Kyle Larson?
Dropping N-bombs, yeah.
Kyle, well, he got a huge endorsement because Bubba Wallace, who's black, came out and said he deserves a second chance. That's going to be huge for getting him back in the sport. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Bubba's like, I know him. We talked. He said he used the word, Kyle had said... That's not how I was raised. And Bubba said, you used the word way too easy. It came out way too easy. Mm-hmm. So this isn't the first time. This isn't something that's a one-off. It says, but you need to learn about why that word is so hurtful and has such an impact to black people. And I'm willing to help you with that. But he said, in the long run, it wasn't like he was calling somebody a name. Yeah. He just shouldn't have used that word. So Bubba said, he should be back in the sport. He's good for the sport.
Well. You could. I guess you could do that, but like obviously, football, basketball, any contact sports are going to be impossible to do. But
they're already putting together an MMA fight.
Yeah, that's just not. That's just
and wrestling.
Well, and
wrestling.
Yeah, that's not. And so when it comes to like college football is my biggest concern because that's my favorite sport. Mm-hmm. They were saying until they get students to actually be on campus, how do you let athletes play. You could do online courses and all this stuff, and there's no fans in the stands and blah blah blah. And it's like I don't know if you can pull that off. And the schedule that they have to have, the ramp up to it and all that, I just don't know, man. I mean, I don't want to be a pessimist on the thing, but it certainly seems like it's going to be really fucking difficult to pull off any of these seasons in the fall.
Well, this is also one of the arguments, too, is that if you don't try some of these things, then what do? Just all of a sudden open the floodgates and hope it works? Hope that, you know what I mean? At least this, if people started to get sick, they're like, oh, we can't do this either.
Yeah, you could, yeah.
But let's say you waited 2 years to play. They're like, sports are done for 2 years. It seems it's all gone. We don't have any big concerts. And then all of a sudden, 1 year, you're like, okay, put back hockey, baseball, football, college baseball, concerts, race. I mean, all of a sudden, you got to phase some in to see what works and what doesn't. 2 to 3%, man. 2 to 3%.
That's it.
That's it.
No, you can. I think phasing will be done. But I mean, of course, if you waited 2 years, everybody would, ideally have the vaccine at that point. But
you'd like to think, but
then of course
the way things are going,
then the next one would come out.
That's it. COVID-20.
Nobody saw this coming.
Right. Nobody.
The other thing I was going to say that it'll be interesting too is the election, because obviously we saw that craziness with Wisconsin, and there's people standing in line 6 feet apart, getting standing in line to vote in a primary. To me, it's a no-brainer, and it probably is for you too. I don't understand why everybody
100%
doesn't
vote by mail.
Allow you to do vote by mail.
I think it's going to go that way.
It's got to, but the whole it's crooked and people cheat with vote by mail. It's like, yeah, the one time that it's been actually called out was a Republican who cheated.
Right.
But even that being said, you look at, Oregon's done it forever.
Yeah, California too. I mean, we're not mandatory vote by mail, but most everybody does.
So we're mandatory, and our turnout numbers are huge because of that. Well, huge compared to the nationwide average. But so I just don't understand how they're not going to do that, and how they and I think people also, yes, you get your ballot sent to you in the mail, so there's the chance that it could get intercepted and something can happen. But you drop it off at a box. It's not if you put it with a fucking stamp and put it back in the mailbox once you voted. There's an actual secure drop box you drop it in. So
ours is a stamp back in the mail.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ours, I guess maybe you can mail them back. I just always drop it in those fucking boxes.
Right.
But regardless, it's been proven for the most part over the years to just be totally legit.
Yeah.
And it makes more people vote, which of course means one party doesn't want that, because the more people that vote, the worse they do.
Well, and in Wisconsin, the Republicans got bit in the butt because a lot of old people didn't go out to vote, which normally vote more conservative, and they were terrified.
Yeah.
So
I think they should be.
I think too, if you go to 100% vote by mail, it's easier to catch the fraud if there is fraud, because that's the way everybody's voting. So it's not. There's not
one poll
It's
station.
not this weird one-off where it's like, oh, all of a sudden, all these ballots disappeared.
We're not looking at hanging chads because
freaking Chad.
Because you just circle that thing with a pen. No
That's
hanging
it.
Chads.
That's
it. Punch that shit. I know some people really like the pomp and circumstance,
the pageantry of it.
Yes,
sure.
The pageantry. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I think we need to get over that.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else, or should we go to the advice?
Let's go to advice.
So every week we offer up some advice to a listener who submitted a question to us. You can do the same by sending us an email at reasonsaredebatable@gmail.com, or reach out to us on Twitter at reasonsare. This week we got an interesting question, and here it is. Dear Neil and Matt, thank you for addressing us appropriately, although I wish you would say Matt first. I was hoping to get some advice from you this week. You've come to the right place.
You've come to the wrong place.
I have a couples podcast with my wife. Let's call her Christina. She thinks she's the funniest co-host that ever lived, but unfortunately, I don't think anyone else is getting the joke, including me. How do I approach the subject with her and let her down easy? Thanks in advance, Christian Miller.
Well, Christian, I'm gonna give you some solid advice. You need to get a new wife.
Whoa!
That's it.
That is not the direction I was gonna go. Not a new co-host.
No.
New wife.
Yeah, no. Keep her as a co-host.
Oh, I see.
Still do the pod. No. I'm not. Don't kick her off the pod. But get a new wife that maybe can help explain now your co-host's jokes, because it sounds like Christian's maybe a little slow, doesn't understand.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
See,
but I just think he needs somebody at home that can help him to understand the humor of Christina.
Yes. And and a new wife would help that. It's a big roll of the dice.
Yeah, it's the best advice I think that you could give in this scenario.
See, I think he should shame her because that usually works really well. Typically, if as a guy, if you shame your wife, they respond really well to it. And so I think if he did that, she would get the point. And then
maybe some more mansplaining.
Yeah, exactly. Like just break it down to her in real simple terms and just be like, hey, I know you don't understand this, so let me explain it to you.
That's a good call.
People are not getting your jokes.
That's a good call. I think both of these. You do that first. Wait till the person's spirit is broken and they start to change and go, oh, by the way, this is my new wife.
Well, so there you go. You're combining the two.
Yeah.
So the shame, then that.
Yeah. I mean, this is how we solve issues.
The bottom line, Christian, is you now have options.
You have lots of options. And don't worry. And I'm not saying get a new wife because the one you have isn't good or nothing like that. It's not working. You don't get her.
It's really not working.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. She needs somebody smarter with a better sense of humor. Mm-hmm. But I think you guys can do the show after you've each gone your own ways sexually.
I think it might raise the game of the podcast.
Yeah.
Just to introduce that friction.
Did they say the name of their podcast?
No, it doesn't they said the name.
And this was from Christian?
This is Christian Miller.
Yeah, see, I'm afraid Christian's just not getting it if he doesn't even name the freaking podcast on a show like ours that would help promote such podcasts.
Yeah, see. Christian, come on.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
You know what, Christian? Feel free to write back.
I'm actually thinking she should leave him.
All right, new advice.
Yeah. New
Christina,
advice.
are you listening?
Christina, dump the zero and get a hero.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we helped you out, Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for listening to our show. You can find us and share your thoughts at Reasons Are on Twitter. Neil is
at AngelsFreak7.
You can, again, email us your advice questions at reasonsardebatable@gmail.com or anything you want to tell us if you'd like.
Or just anything.
We're always open.
Anything.
If you haven't already, please write a review or tell someone about the show. Help us grow. And we will be back.
But tell them from 6 feet away.
Yes, exactly.
Or on a Zoom call.
Keep your distance. And if you're going to start a couples podcast, no, we're not going to get into that. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Well, see you.